Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth part of the delivery optimization series. In the last three parts, we have covered the basics of delivery optimization, and we try to cover the workflow for the updates that has been followed by the Windows 11 clients and the older clients as well. Um, in this video, I'm going to talk about the download modes based on which the DO Cloud service discovers the peers. So before we actually deep dive into the lab and we look at the logs and real time, I wanted to cover this part um, so that we can be clear that on what logics or in what scenarios the delivery optimization cloud service selects the peers. So we want to know that when the when the Windows Update Agent creates the job for the delivery optimization client and then it reaches out to the DO Cloud service. So, what all peers it's going to get in return? I mean, the list of peers that the DO Cloud service is going to return to the DO client, how that works, and how the peering happens. Okay. And we are also going to talk about the kind of download requests that are made. So, in the UUP workflow, you saw that when a file is divided into, let's say, 50 pieces, then the download, the workload of the download can be divided in such a way that some of the pieces can be downloaded via Delta download, um, and some of the pieces can be downloaded by peering. So, what's the difference between those download requests we are going to cover in this video? So, first of all, let me open up this article for you. I have already pulled up this article for you. So this is delivery optimization reference. This is an official document by Microsoft, and in this video we are going to talk about the download modes. So coming to the download mode, so we can see that for delivery optimization there are one, two, three, four, five, six kind of download modes. Okay, and out of which one is already deprecated for Windows 11, that is bypass. Five are still active, and these download modes applies to the supported operating systems for delivery optimization, that is Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server operating systems as well. Okay. Okay. Uh, let's talk about the different download modes. So the first download mode is HTTP only. So before we actually jump into the download mode, let me open up my workflow that I drawn for the UUP, and I will show you what's the difference between the different kind of download requests, and then only I'll be able to explain you these download modes. So let me pull up that workflow. So here is that workflow that I created for UUP, and here you can see that as soon as the scan process completes, when the device receives the deployment policy, and after that going through all these components, when the scan process completes, instead of the download being initiated by updates deployment agent, the Windows update agent itself initiates the download by creating jobs for the DO client, right? So basically it creates the delivery optimization jobs for whatever files needs to be downloaded for the update. Okay, and the DO client then reaches out to the DO cloud service. I also shown you in the last video what all are the delivery optimization internet endpoints that the machine would require access to, so that it can talk to the DO cloud service. And once it reaches out to the DO cloud service, then based on the download mode, it tells it that how many pieces you can download via Delta download and how many pieces you can download via peers. Okay, so try to understand this, that when um, let me open up this in Paint so that I can draw a couple of things. All right, so I have opened the same workflow in Paint so that I could draw a few things, or I could write a few things here. Okay, so try to understand that whenever the DO client reaches out to the Delta download for downloading some of the pieces, that request is always HTTP request. And whatever pieces are being downloaded by peers, these are P2P download requests. So there are two types of download requests, okay, that the DO client uh, sends. So the HTTP type of requests are sent to the Delta download, and then the Delta download reaches out to CMBits manager, and then the flows go on, and then finally the device downloads the pieces from the distribution point. So for whatever pieces the HTTP type of request is created. So in this example, in this workflow, we found that there were 11 pieces which were downloaded via distribution points, right? 4 pieces here, 7 pieces here, so 11 pieces in total. And so in the DOSVC log, when we will take a look at the DOSVC log, we will be clearly able to see that whatever blocks or pieces or chunks um, it's going to ask Delta download to download, for all those chunks HTTP type of request is created, and that is why it is forwarded to Delta download. So let me put it in sequence. Okay, so DO client reaches out to the DO cloud service. The DO cloud service tells it that you need to download the file in 50 pieces. For 11 pieces you can create HTTP request, and for the rest 39 pieces you can create P2P requests. So for 11 pieces, it says that you can go ahead and create HTTP requests, right? So we can see as in the log, we can see that for 11 pieces, HTTP type of request has been created. So we can be assured that okay, those 11 pieces are going to be downloaded via this route, basically the Delta download route, and rest 39 pieces are going to be downloaded via P2P requests. That is via peers. Okay, so these are two type of download requests that is generated by DO client. All right, now let's get back to this download mode thing. So let me open up another paint. Okay, I've already opened it. Now let's talk about the different download modes. So the first download mode is HTTP only 0. So uh, 0. What will happen in 0 is that if on any machine delivery optimization is enabled but the download mode is set to 0, then what is going to happen is it is all the request. I mean, whatever file it needs to download, and how and what and whatever amount of pieces it has downloaded that file, it is going to download all those pieces via HTTP requests, and no peering will happen. Okay, so as I showed you here, that the DO client reaches out to the DO cloud service, and then DO cloud service first of all tells it that you need to download this file into these many pieces, okay, piece by piece. And for 11 pieces you can create HTTP request, and for the rest 39 pieces you can create P2P request. But let's say that if the download mode is set to 0 on this machine for which we are tracking the download process, so if the download mode is set to 0, then only HTTP type of request is going to be generated for all the pieces, and no peering is going to happen. So let's take the same example. The file got divided into 50 pieces, and it's going to create HTTP requests for all those 50 pieces, and then all those 50 pieces are going to be downloaded via this route, that is the Delta download route. Okay, and no peering is going to happen in that case. All right. So this is the first download mode, that is um, download mode 0. All right. So if the download mode is set to 0, only HTTP type of download request is going to be generated, and then the download is going to happen either via distribution point, or maybe if you have a Microsoft connected cache server, then it can leverage that as well. But as far as I know, UUP updates don't work with connected cache server, so that is why I'm keeping that aside for now. So as of now, you can only assume that if only HTTP requests are getting generated, then all the content is going to be downloaded via distribution point. Okay, and no peering is going to happen. So this was the first download mode. And the second download mode, that is LAN 1, and it's written default here. So that means that on any machine on which delivery optimization is enabled by default and no changes have been made, so LAN 1 is the default mode, download mode, that it is going to follow. And what is LAN 1 mode? That it's going to blend, basically, um, it's going to blend the download request into HTTP as well as peering. So the exact I mean, it's going to follow this workflow. That is, for some pieces, it's going to create HTTP requests, and for some pieces, it's going to download it from peer. But the catch is, uh, in a large environment, or in large offices, there could be hundreds of devices, and the DO client needs to know what all devices it can peer with, right? And who is going to tell it? Who is going to inform it that you can peer with these many devices? DO cloud service. What could be the first logic that DO cloud service follows for that? Okay, on what logic it decides that this device can peer with these and these devices, right? So the first thing first is, obviously, whatever the content this client is looking for, it needs to be exist. I mean, it needs to exist in the DO cache of the peers. That this is, of course, the first uh, requirement for peering. If the peers won't have the content, there is no use of peering, because if the peers don't have the content, why would a machine contact a peer for something, right? So this is the first thing. Second thing is, let's say if all the other peers do have the content, okay, if all the other devices do have the content that this machine is looking for, let me create another drawing. So this is my let's say client machine on which I am planning to deploy an update. Or let's not planning, I have already deployed the update, okay? And during the deployment, the machine will reach out to the DO cloud service, and then it's going to ask it that what all peers I can reach out to download the content from. Okay. And the LAN, I mean, and the download mode is set to LAN 1. Okay. So let's say here is the DO cloud service. Okay, this is the DO cloud service. And let's say whatever the machine, I mean, whatever content this machine is looking for, it exists on let's say it already exists on 3 machines in the office. Okay, and DO Cloud Service is aware of these 3 peers. How is it aware? It is beyond the scope of SCCM, I would say, because it has its own logic, right? And it has its own way of identifying peers that already has the content in its cache. Okay. So let's say the machine is looking for the content and for an update, and the content already exists on these three machines. So I'm going to give them a name, that is machine 2, machine 3, and machine 4. So in this scenario, can this client machine pair with any of these? Obviously it can, but it also depends upon the download mode. So if the download mode is set to 1, we are talking about download mode 1, then it's only going to pair with those machines who are behind the same NAT. So there is a concept of NAT. So what is NAT? Let's say, let me scroll to the right. Okay, let me extend this white screen further. All right. Okay, so what is NAT? So you must have heard the terms private IP addresses and public IP addresses, right? So every machine in a corporate or office or in an office network, of course, every machine is going to have its own IP address, right? So let's say this is a machine and its IP address is 192.168.2.7. This is another machine and its IP is 192.168.2.15, let's say, and this machine's IP is 192.168.2.27 and 192.168.2.50, let's say. Okay, so I'm just taking a hypothetical example here. Don't think it is a real example. So I have four machines here, and all these four machines have their own private IP. Private IP means within an office network. So I'm drawing a bigger box as well. So this bigger box represents my office network, and anything outside that represents oh, uh, represents internet. So I'm writing here office network. So all these four machines have a private IP address using which they communicate with each other. But what if what if these machines need to go outside to internet for anything? So do you think that when these machines are going to reach out to the internet, let's say if I want to download something on this machine, on the first machine, and I typed in Google and then I'm downloading something on this device. So of course the device is talking to the internet. So do you think that while talking to the internet or while the machine is on internet, it's is it going to use the same IP 192.168.2.7 while it's communicating with the internet? Do you really think it's going to use the same IP? No, because in a private network, this IP could be in use by a lot of devices at the same time in a private network. Okay, for example, there is some other office or there is some other company out there, and they have done their own subnetting and they have assigned their their I mean private IP addresses to the machines their own way. So in their office as well, there could be a device using the same IP. Okay, because it's a private network, right? And in a private network, I can assign IP as per my wish. Okay, if I'm an admin and I'm controlling the DHCP and everything, I'm controlling the network infrastructure, then I can decide in what way or what would be the scope range of the IP addresses that can be assigned to those devices. So what I'm trying to say is this is a machine in my office network and it's using this IP 192.168.2.7, right? And there could be many offices out there, and not just offices, there could be a lot of devices out there in the across the globe that are using the same IP address right now, but in their own private network. Okay, but what if those devices has to come out of their private network and they want to surf internet, or they want to I mean they want to communicate with the internet. So what happens is there is a device called as NAT device. This is not a hardware basically. This is just a piece of software that is configured on the firewall or maybe on the routers, but I'm denoting that this as a device. Okay, and devices, the machines that are behind the same NAT device are going to have the same public IP. So when these three machines are going to be on internet, so when these machines has to communicate with the internet, these three devices are going to have the same public IP. Okay, uh, so when these three machines want to talk to the internet, so they might have a public IP, but they will have the same public IP. So the public IP could be let's say 10.223 dot 35.18, anything. It could be anything. So these three devices are behind the same NAT and they are going to use the same public IP. Okay, and of course the DO cloud service is present on the internet, right? It's not something that exists on an intranet. So when the devices are communicating with the DO cloud service, they communicate with the same public IP. And using this public IP, this DO cloud service tells it that what all devices you can peer with. So let's say this is my machine, machine one on which I deployed the update, and it is now looking for peers from whom it can download the content from. So the DO cloud service is going to tell it that you can reach out to those machines that are behind the same NAT as you. So since this machine 2 and machine 3 are behind the same NAT and they are using the same public IP when trying to reach out to the internet, so the machine 1 can pair with machine 2 and machine 3, provided that they do have the content that machine 1 is looking for. And this is not only for machine 1. Any of these three machines can pair with each other if the download mode is set to 1 on them. And the download mode 1 means the DO cloud service is going to return the list of those devices, those peers that are behind the same NAT as the requesting device. And why we have a concept of NAT? Because obviously if we try to use the same IP when the machine goes out to the internet, um, it can clash with many other devices, right? And we know that there are millions and millions of devices on this planet, and um, we will easily run out of IPv4 addresses if all the devices are going to use unique um, public IP. So it's impossible to assign a unique public IP to all the devices on the globe. So that's why we have a concept of NAT. All right. So coming back to this diagram. So this client machine is looking for content, and the DO client is reached out to the DO Cloud service, and the DO Cloud service is going to tell it that you can peer with probably machine 2 and machine 3 because they are behind the same NAT as you. Okay, and in this diagram, since this machine 4 is not behind the same NAT, as per the diagram, it's not behind the same NAT. It could be behind some different NAT. Okay, so even if it has the content that machine 1 is looking for, machine 1 cannot peer with machine 4. Okay, if the download mode on machine 1 is set to 1, then the DO Cloud service is not going to return the name of machine 4 to it, even if it has the content, even if its DO cache has the content that it is looking for. Okay, all right, so this was LAN mode 1. Now we can talk about group 2. I mean, download mode 2, that is group. Now, what is group? We just, sorry. So, we just talked about download mode 0, download mode 1, and download mode 2. So, in download mode 2, we have groups. So, let's say that um, and I have an office, I'm running an office, and I am the IT admin in that office. I handle the patching and I handle SSCM, Intune, and I'm the one who controls the delivery optimization, and I'm the one who controls the network. So let's say my office has my office has 9 machines. Okay, I have 9 machines in my office. I have drawn 9 boxes here, and each box is representing a device. Okay, and what I want is, irrespective of whether they fall behind the same NAT or irrespective of whether they are in the same subnet, I want that uh, these 6 machines should only pair with each other. Okay, so I want to group them basically. I want to group these 6 devices so that they can pair with each other. So whenever the delivery optimization scenario comes into the picture, I want that if this first mission is looking for content, then it should only get the list of uh, the machines that are part of this group, and uh, no machine outside of this group should be involved in that pairing. So I'm trying to group the machines together so that they can pair with each other. All right, and irrespective of the fact whether these 6 machines are in the same subnet or they fall behind the same NAT, and it's very possible that these 6 machines may fall behind different NAT. So let me draw another diagram here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this example, I'm going to assume that these first 3 devices are behind behind NAT1. And the rest three machines are behind NAT2. But for delivery optimization perspective, I have set the download mode to 2 on these machines, and I have grouped them together. So whenever these six machines, any of these six machines are going to need any content, they can talk to the DO Cloud service, and then the DO Cloud service is going to return the list of um, any of these five machines who has the content that the machine is looking for, that the requesting machine is looking for, right? So obviously, since the first three devices are behind NAT1 and the rest of the three devices are behind NAT2, so the public IP address of the first three machines would be different than the rest of the three machines, right? So the first three machines, let's say, is going to use a public IP address of 4.223.168.7, let's say, and the second NAT is going to use 4.224.52.6, let's say. And by the way, if I have not taken the complete name of NAT so far, NAT stands for Network Address Translation. Okay, so basically it is responsible for uh, translating the public IP to private IP and private IP to public IP. Okay, all right. So these three devices are going to use public IP this, and the rest three machines are going to use public IP this. And uh, let's say this is my machine one, and I've deployed an update to it. And now, since delivery optimization is enabled on this machine and the download mode is set to 2, that is, this machine is part of a group that I wanted to peer with. Okay, so delivery optimization cloud service is going to return the list of any of these five REST 5 machines who has the content it is looking for, right? So let's say if let me name all these machines first. So if the machine 1 is going to pair with machine 2 and machine 3, then the only port that is required here is obviously port 7680. Port 7680 must be opened. Ideally, it should be opened on all the devices on which delivery optimization is enabled, right? So it must be open on all the machines that are going to participate in delivery optimization. So if the machine 1 is going to pair with machine 2 and machine 3, then this is the only requirement, I think, for the peering to happen. But let's say that the machine 1 wants to pair with machine 4. Okay, or let's say I've deployed the update to machine 3, and let's say, or let's assume that the content that machine 1 is looking for, machine 2 and machine 3 do not have that content, but machine 4 has that content. And machine 4 can also uh, participate in peering with machine 1 because they are in the same group, and download mode is set to 2 on these machines, right? So Is there an additional requirement here because machine 1 and machine 4 are behind different NATs? Then yes, there is a requirement. So uh, the communication is going to happen across NAT now. So machine 1 is going to reach out to machine 4, right? And the communication is obviously going to happen across NAT 1 and NAT 2. I mean, between NAT 1 and NAT 2. So the communication is going beyond NAT 1. So is there an additional firewall requirement or an additional port requirement? Then yes, there is a requirement, and it's well documented as well. Let me pull that up. So you must allow inbound and outbound UDP traffic over port 3544. So if the communication is going to happen across NAT, then in your firewall, there should be an inbound and outbound rule created for port 3544. So since it's inbound and outbound both, if this is not in place, then the peering would fail and you may see failures in download. Whatever patch you have downloaded to the machine, you may see failures, or the download may just time out after a certain amount of time. Right. So this was all about download mode 2. Okay. So if you're using download mode 2, also of course the machines are grouped together. If they are behind the same NAT, well and good. No additional requirement is needed. But if they're behind different NATs, then you need to make sure that this port 3544 is open. UDP, this is a UDP port, okay? Open and allowed on your firewall. This was about download mode 2. I hope you understood this. And now let's talk about internet download mode 3. So in internet, it's pretty simple. In download mode 3, so if this is a machine and this is my DO cloud service, and the machine needs the content, it reached out to DO cloud service. So the DO cloud service can so far in download mode 0, download mode 1, download mode 2, it was only able to discover peers which are part of the same uh, environment or the same network, right? uh, but uh, in case of download mode 3, that is internet mode, it's going to try to discover peers that are present, maybe across WAN or maybe some other part of the globe that that also has that content that this machine is looking for, and it's going to return the name of those devices to this machine, and this machine can download the content from so this machine can basically peer with these machines as well. And since this is a scenario of internet, we are talking about internet, so obviously this is uh, this is going to happen across a very wide area network. So of course it's very possible that the devices that are going to involved in peering are behind different NATs, right? So this requirement of port UDP port 3544 being opened on the firewall, it's still applicable. It's applicable to this download mode as well. That is download mode 3 internet. So devices can peer with other devices on the internet, and it's very possible that they are behind different NATs, and the requirement for port 3544 is applicable to this download mode as well. The next download mode is simple 99. So what is this download mode? So it's for those environments in which the endpoints do not have access to the delivery optimization cloud service. So obviously there are environments that are very secure, or many customers also have disconnected environments when with where the machines do not have access to the internet, and therefore the machines cannot access the DO cloud service, right? And since they cannot access the DO cloud service, what they will do is all the download of the content will happen over HTTP requests. So all the content is going to download via distribution points, and no peering is going to happen. Okay, so this is also an example where all the content is going to be downloaded via HTTP request, and no peering is going to happen. So it's quite similar to download mode 0, wherein no peering was happening, right? But what's the difference between download mode 0 and download mode 99 is, in download mode 0, uh, peerless download is going to happen, that we agree, but the machine would still require access to the DO cloud service. When the download mode is set to 0, the machine still needs to be able to talk to the DO cloud service. But in download mode 99, if the machine do not have the access to DO cloud service, no problem. It's still going to download the content via HTTP requests. Okay, and no peering is going to happen. All right, and so this was download mode 99, and download mode 0, which is so far deprecated in Windows 11. So in Windows 11 we cannot configure this option, or even if you're seeing this option, it's recommended that you do not set it to 100. Okay, so what is 100? As you can see by the name itself, it's bypass. So if the download mode is set to 100, delivery optimization is not going to be used at all, and the workflow for the update deployment is going to be quite similar to what we discussed in the conventional update flow. Okay, in the conventional update flow, we observed that delivery optimization was not an integral part of the flow. And if you have not seen that video, I would suggest you to go to my delivery optimization series and refer that conventional workflow for the update, right? And if we set the DO mode to bypass, so it's going to bypass delivery optimization, and it's directly going to use bits instead. Okay, so as you saw that data transfer service used bits to download the content from the distribution point, right? So it's going to follow the conventional flow to download the content. So I hope you understood uh, all these, how many, 6 download modes that we have for delivery optimization. You can give it a read as well, but I think uh, if you listen to what I said, and if you understood what I said, um, you shouldn't have to really go through these articles unless it's a very complicated scenario. Okay. Uh, Other thing I can suggest you is, if you still want some video recommendations to go through this topic, you can. There is a video that I can recommend you. Let's see. I think it is delivery optimization I for E. Yeah, this video. This is a 16-minute video, and this is by Saurabh Sarkar, one of the product managers at Microsoft, and he has described the different download modes used by delivery optimization, and he has explained it in a diagram, so it may help you to understand. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching, and in the next video we can finally dive into the lab, and um, we will do the log analysis for the UAP workflow. Thank you.